Chapter 5. What books and burials tells us? Match the columns. Sukta, well said. Charitas, used in battles. Yajna, sacrifice. Dasa, slave. Megalith, stone builder. Second one, complete the sentences. Slaves were used for work. Megaliths are found in South India, North India and Kashmir. Stone circles or boulders on the surface were used to indicate the exact place of burial. Portholes were used for burying the other members of the same family at the same place. People at the Inamgon ate wheat, barley, rice, pulses, millets, peas, sesame, etc. Third one, in what ways are the books we read today different from the Rig Veda? Answer, the books we read today are written and printed. The Rig Veda was recited and heard rather than read. For many years, from generation to generation, the process continues. It was written down several centuries after it was first composed and printed less than 200 years ago. Fourth one, what kind of evidence from burials do archaeologists use to find out whether there were social differences amongst those who were buried? Answer, sometimes archaeologists find a circle of stone boulders or a single large stone standing on the ground. These are the only indications that there are burials beneath. All these burials have some common features. Generally, the dead were buried with distinctive pots, which are called black and red ware. Also found are tools and weapons of iron and sometimes skeletons of horses, horse equipment and ornaments of stone and gold. Several kinds of evidence from burials do archaeologists use to find out that there were social differences amongst those who were buried underneath the megaliths. They think that objects found with a skeleton probably belonged to the dead person. Sometimes more objects were found in one grave than in another. For instance, in Brahmagiri, one skeleton was buried with 33 gold beads, 2 stone beads, 4 copper bangles and 1 conch shell. Other skeletons had only a few pots. Perhaps there were differences in status amongst the people who were buried. Perhaps some were rich, others poor, some chiefs, other followers. Fifth one, in what ways do you think that the life of a Raja was different from that of a Dasa or Dasi? Answer, in the society, Raja was one of the highest civil positions. Rajas were the kings of the community, whereas the Dasas or Dasis were the lowest position in society. The Dasas or Dasis were slaves who were used for work. They were treated as the property of their owners. They were captured in wars. Sixth one, find out whether your school library has a collection of books on religion and list the names of 5 books from this collection. Answer, do yourself with the help of your subject teacher and school librarian. A sample of set of 5 books are the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita and the Quran. Second main, true or false? First one, the Rig Veda was written for the first time by hand about 3005 years ago. False. Soma was the warrior god. False. The Rig Veda contains prayers for cattle, children and horses. True. Battles were fought for land, water and to capture people. True. Sons automatically succeeded fathers as rajas. False. Megaliths were used to mark burial sites. True. Members of families were usually buried together. True. In a hymn in the Rig Veda, Vishwamitra has a dialogue with the bees and Satalej, which were 2 women. False. Sanskrit and Tamil belong to the same family of languages. False. Third main, very short answer type questions. Name the four Vedas. Answer. The four Vedas are Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, Arthana Veda. Second one, in what language has the Rig Veda been composed? Answer. The Rig Veda is in Vedic Sanskrit. Third one, what were the various purposes of fighting battles as depicted by the Rig Veda? Answer. Battles were fought for cattle, land, water and for capturing people. Fourth one, what were the groups of people in terms of their work? Answer. There were two groups of people in terms of their work, the Brahmins and the Rajas. Fifth one, who were the Aryas and Dasas? Answer. People who composed the hymns called themselves Aryans and they called their opponents Dasas. What were megaliths? Answer. Stone boulders used to mark burial sites are known as megaliths. Seventh one, name some areas where megaliths were prevalent. Answer. Megaliths were prevalent in the Deccan, South India, in the Northeast and Kashmir. Eighth one, how is it known that burial spots were meant for families? Answer. Sometimes megaliths contain more than one skeleton. This indicates that families were buried together. Where is Imangun situated? Answer. Imangun is a site on the river God, a tributary of the river Bhima.